Hi guys, Ronnie here and welcome to the workshop. Today I'm going to explore a topic that I get asked about quite a lot, and it's tire choice. Unfortunately, there are no easy ways to determine the best optimal tire for every situation, but after a couple of years of testing different things, today I'm going to give you my current preferences and the ones that I'm going to try out, since there are always new options coming out. And also sometimes, particularly in time trialing, it's not so clear cut of what is fastest or not. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Now it's going to be a whole lot easier because behind me there's a big box of brand new head wheels that I just got, and these are essentially spares to complement my current sets. Exactly the same, so they will enable me to complement the testing procedure, so I will be able to test wheels back to back regarding aero and rolling resistance. So that's kind of nice. So first let's look at what's in the box. Okay, so here we have it. As I said, quite a sizable unit. It fits 5 wheels actually, which is pretty unique. Head are doing this only, from what I can see. So we have tubeless kits for all of them, of course. I'm just going to put this aside for now. And what we have here is the following. So a couple of weeks ago I was talking about the Vanquish 6s and 4s. I've sold the 4s for the reasons mentioned before. There's just no point in me going that shallow. So what I got here is yet another set of 6s. So this is a pair of road racing wheels essentially for me. This is the rear one. And then we have a front to match. This is it, basically. Nice white decals as well, and also it's pretty neat that they were actually built specifically for me. Yeah, there it goes. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so these are the mid-depth 60 mils, thoroughly recommended. For relatively new riders. They're super stable in wind and very fast as well, so great all-round wheels. Then we have something a bit more substantial. This is an 80 mil front, which I've been running for a while now on my time trial bike. Really like this wheel, very fast and also remarkably stable, extremely wide as well. If you just look at it, yeah, beauty. So this is the 80 front, and one thing that's new actually is now I also have an 80 mil rear. Now this is probably not for the time trials because there obviously I'll be on the disc wheel, but for road racing this might be actually worthwhile, and maybe with the 80 front as well. So I'm definitely going to check that out too. Interesting combination. And then of course we have the big dog, the proper stuff. Yeah, this is the disc wheel, which is the fastest, most aeroest wheel you can get basically. It has a pronounced lenticular shape afforded by the non-structural cover. Some carbon fetishists love pointing this out, that it's not a full carbon disc wheel, it's a spoked wheel that has a cover on it, which is true, but what you want from a disc wheel is it to be as aerodynamic as possible, and if the way to achieve that is have a non-structural very pronounced shape, then that's what will be fastest. So yeah, that's kind of a pointless thing to get obsessed about. So anyway, these are the wheels. So basically I have one road race set, or 1.5 should I say, and then one time trial set. So now let's talk about the tires that I'm going to use. So road racing first, and for that let me just bring you over to my bikes. So here we have the gravel bike. Unfortunately the gravel wheel's not here yet still, hopefully next week, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, this is the tire setup that I've been using throughout the winter. I was curious how it will perform, and I got through without any single puncture, so that's nice. What this is an S-Works Turbo Cotton in the 28mm version. Now I like the 26mm for general road race use, and I have been using this for the past 2 years. If you look at the rolling resistance tests, it's a very fast tire, possibly the fastest clincher tire that has some puncture protection, so not a pure time trial tire. It's also very grippy because of the non-vulcanized casing, also very supple, and of course fast. So very good tire all around, and it has been my go-to choice. Now the difference with the 28 is that it's not just a bigger casing. This was previously called the Hell of the North edition, so something designed for the classics or Paris-Roubaix, and despite carrying the same turbo cotton designation, it has firstly, as you can see, a broader thread on it, so the rubber thread actually goes further down the casing to prevent cuts from roadside debris. So that's one thing. Secondly, it has more puncture protection underneath, thicker rubber as well, and also it has this very fine diamond pattern even on the center line, whereas the 26 is completely slick on there. Hopefully you can see that. So this is basically the toughened version of the same tire, and it's also wider, really quite wide, in fact, measures around 30mm on these wide head rims. As I said, pretty sturdy, at least in my case, didn't have any problems with it. Also comes in black, as you can see on this bike. And yes, obviously because of the thicker thread pattern, more puncture protection, it will of course be slightly slower in terms of rolling resistance, but it's also more grippy and more durable, apart from the increased puncture protection, of course. So this has been my go-to choice for winter and bad roads. Now actually both of these tires are pretty old now, and I wanted to try something new. And previously I've ridden a lot of various different tubeless tires until the point where I basically got sick of them not performing very well, but that was 2 years ago, more than 2 in fact. So since then things have, at least reportedly, improved quite a bit. So what I also have here is, well, this is basically the last pair of GP5000 STRs that I had back in stock. Now I was suffering a lot with regular GP5000 TLs for customers. I also tried to use them myself for a while, and they were not easy tires to live with. Yes, they were fast, but they also didn't feel very grippy or supple, and they were a nightmare to mount. And on top of that, usually they didn't seal very well either. Hopefully that is all behind us now with this new version, at least according to various reviews. And yeah, that's probably a sign of times changing. So the 30mm would be probably ideal for the wide headrim, and yeah, it also has a very aero tread pattern on there, and it should be much more supple, better at being, well, a tubeless tire, etc. So now I'm seriously considering giving this a go. But since I tried tire inserts on my gravel bike recently, I've also invested in a pair of these Tubelite road tire inserts, which are basically these foam sleeves that go in your tire. And this has various benefits. So you can ride the tire completely flat, and it's harder to pinch flat in the first place. So it works great in gravel, and after recent successes of tubeless tires with these inserts in pro racing, I'm really keen on trying them out. So if you'd like to see and hear more about how that works, then let me know in the comments, and I might just bite the tubeless bullet and go for it again. So this is one option. Regarding these two, I really like them. One potential new addition might be the new Michelins, the Power Road 1, I think that's what they're called. Anyway, they have very good results in rolling resistance, so, and I really like their time trial tires, so that's something I might consider as well. So these are my picks. Of course, before I forget, with the tube tires, I always use latex tubes, Challenge ones in particular. There are a couple others on the market, so Vredestein also make them, but I didn't have very good results because they tend to, well, just leak air without puncturing. So there are defects in the material and the tube just undoes itself, I guess. Then Vittorias have problems with the bond failing at the valve or at the joint, and the Challenge ones are pretty reliable because they're one piece, they're not bonded. So yeah, that's what has worked the best for now, and that's what I'm sticking with, apart from, well, this potential experiment. Okay, so that's road covered. Now time trial is a bit more of a mixed bag. So as you can see, currently I have the Power time trials on, and these are the great tires. Clinchers with, again, Challenge latex tubes in there, very fast, pretty grippy, also no puncture issues either. And it's just really one thing, because on a time trial bike, yes, rolling resistance is very important, but so are aerodynamics. And there's one slight issue with this tire, and that's the width. Now, generally most modern tires are designed with wide rims taken into consideration. So for example, these turbos don't really swell on the wide rims with 21mm internal, but the Michelins are a bit more old school. So this particular 25mm swells to almost 29, or in fact more than 29 on the wide head rim, and that's a bit of a problem because, as you can see, it generates quite a lot of frontal area and might even actually stall the wheel because of it being too wide. So not ideal. I have yet to test this with my Notio, but what I really want to compare it against are the Veloflex records. Again, this is a tire I've been using previously and I really like that. This one though isn't made, for some reason, in a 25, so this might come up a bit narrow. So what I will do is actually perform back-to-back tests now that I have the two identical wheels, just to see how the general performance is, because from the Notio I'm not able to pinpoint if it's the rolling resistance or the drag, but I can look at the whole picture of what is making the bike faster. So that's what I'm going to do. But there's also one more thing that I will consider, namely the tread pattern or the lack thereof. So according to some sources, on the front wheel at least, it's beneficial to have a tire with a bit of tread on it, just to energize the boundary layer around the tire and to keep the air better attached then to the tire and the rim. So this should reduce drag. Now, as you can see, both the Michelin and the Veloflex are completely smooth. So, according to this theory at least, not ideal. Again, I have no concrete evidence if this is actually the case, so that's why I'm going to test this out. Now, something like the GP5000 STR or the regular tubed version would be great for this as a comparison, because, well, they have this tread pattern which is supposed to be very aero, but they're not available. As I said, this is the last pair I have in stock. Then there are the Victoria Corsa Speeds, which do have little stripes on the side, but again, those are not available at all and won't be for the foreseeable future. So yeah, thanks 2022. So my only option for that is, well, this one again. Now you see, in terms of width, the Turbo Cotton in 26 is pretty much ideal, an ideal match for these rims, and they're fast too. Perhaps not as fast as the two time trial options in terms of rolling resistance, but I do have this fine little tread on the side. So this might be the interesting third option. So maybe if this theory is true and it works on the current bike and the wheel, then maybe the aero benefit from this little tread might actually outweigh the the rolling resistance penalty. So this is what I will find out in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, to have a properly tested out aero setup. And there's one more cherry on top. Once I have found the best of these options, for the front at least, I really like the Michelin on the back because it's wide, so aero is not important here at the back, but the width gives it very nice rolling resistance and comfort as well. So on the back it might stay, unless I do a test where I change both tires and it comes out faster, of course, but that's a further stage. But one thing that I've been thinking about a while ago, and I've seen a couple of pro teams started using this again, is using some silicone filler just to fill up the gap between the clinch tire and the rim to smooth out the transition again. So I've actually bought some high quality transparent silicone to try it out, but I'm only going to do that after I have confirmed and chosen my front tire and rear tire, of course. So yeah, there's a lot of testing to do, and the final point I want to make here is, well, unfortunately these things are pretty complex, and even though I know that you like to ask me about all this stuff, but there are a lot of interactions between different components, between different wheels, frames, road surfaces, etc. So as you can see, it's not not a simple decision to make. So if you ask me about your setup, well, unfortunately I'm no soothsayer. As you can see, I don't know even for myself. That's why I need to test everything out, because sometimes it might be logical and some things are obvious, like the latex tubes, for example, but some things are not. So really, that's why I bought the Notio, to be able to test these out in the field for myself, and then I can make some educated decisions which I can then pass on to you. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. So if you like to see any of this or something in a similar fashion in particular, then let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.